Today is leg day. We will see how this goes. I think today might be the last day of the fast. It's been working out, but at the same time, I don't know, the rewards don't outweigh some of the downsides for me. I think for the most part it's worked out just because of my schedule and everything, where I'm just eating these huge bits of meal before I go off to work in the evening and all that. I'm so used to working night shifts that going into the gym at midnight isn't such a big problem for me. But at the same time, I think that I'm not on the whole intermittent fasting bandwagon really. So it was cool. It was a cool experiment. I like trying different things, but it just doesn't seem to have the same benefits. I think that as I'm getting closer to kind of the end of not a cut, but kind of just kind of like a recomposition right now, that I feel like I'm ready to go back to my traditional eating style. There's a number of things that I like to eat before workouts, after workouts, all that just doesn't always work out with the timing of when I'm going to the gym. So it's 11 p.m. right now, and my last meal of the day was like 7. So I wouldn't say fasted, but it's been a while since I've eaten. And normally I'd like to eat at least something, hour and a half, 2 hours before I go to the gym, just to have that energy to really just knock it out for leg day. So we will see. I am again going to the ghetto gym. I'm about 15 minutes into my drive. I didn't end up recording all the stuff that I intended to with back and bicep last night. I did end up kind of skedaddling from the gym a little bit early last night. There was a group of a dozen people that were just kind of messing around over by the squat racks. There's 6 squat racks at this gym, which is awesome, but there were 5 or 6 people that were over there messing around that ended up getting a little bit too carried away, and it turned into a near brawl. There's been a number of shootings in the parking lot of this gym and everything. So, I'm not about that drama. So I cut my workout a little bit short. But today, hopefully, a lot more chill. Sunday night, so usually there's not as much of a crowd as everybody's ready to go in for work. I don't have work until tomorrow evening at 10 p.m. So I don't have to worry about that sort of morning routine. But I am intending to. The problem with this gym. What am I saying? The problem with this gym is that this gym doesn't have the same degree of leg equipment that I'd like. I'm not doing squats right now, primarily because of my fall. If you watched the last video, I talked about a fall that kind of hurt my ankle, or the ankle of my arm, my wrist. My stabilizers in my wrist are kind of messed up, and in that same fall, I hurt my lower back a bit. And as much as I'm one to, kind of push through the pain on a lot of things, I'm more pushing through the muscular pain than the, worried about joints and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not intending to do squats tonight. Probably leg extensions, some leg press, maybe some hack squats, something like that. We'll see what's open and available and what parts of my workout aren't going to interrupt with other people's workouts if I'm recording and make anybody feel uncomfortable or anything like that. All that aside, I also am going to do some shoulders. They have a pretty nice shoulder press machine here that maybe I'll get to show you guys, and thinking of what else. I don't know. I like tossing abs with everything. I know that sounds like a super busy workout, and it usually is. Doing legs, abs, shoulders, but a lot of it I superset because, you know, I can work in shoulders with legs and not worry about, you know, anterior muscles kind of contrasting with each other. And it just means that I end up being just crazy drained, but you know, I can get in some heavy OHP and stuff like that without having to worry about, you know, messing up my leg press or leg extensions or anything like that. And this gym has like 6 different leg extension machines. Although they have like 2 of those leg extension machines that I kind of associate as being like the lifetime ones that I kind of only see older ladies using, and then they have 2 or 3 machines that are the the standard leg extensions, you know. But a lot of the equipment here is kind of falling apart, which is nice. I mean, sometimes you like going into the gyms where everything's just kind of like broken, if that makes sense. Makes you feel like, I don't know, Ronnie Coleman or something like that. But we will see what happens. Hopefully no drama in the gym tonight, or at least if there is, maybe I can get it on camera. Anyway, gosh, this gym, I tell you, there's always like 15 cars that are all parked in like a circle in the empty part of the parking lot. Just dudes hanging out. But yeah, I guess I will see you guys inside. Alright, so starting set was calves, not for any reason other than it was free. I would have preferred to have warmed up with some hamstring curls first, but calf machine is this calf machine in particular, I usually can get a pretty good burn on it, and there was a number of calf machines available, or I will even use the leg press for calf, but this one was free and available, so I'm able to get about 4 sets in here. I think I did 4 or 5 sets. And with calves, like, there's not really a whole lot of overtraining. I'm just go until you get a burn. I wasn't really going for like specific rep ranges or anything like that. I think I was averaging about 20 reps per set and just trying to blast them. Like, if you can get as much of a burn as possible, great, go for it. I wasn't aiming for any specific rep range. I think I maxed out at 4 plates on each side. And then finally the hamstring machine freed up. So getting into the hamstrings, again, with hamstrings, I think I was shooting for probably about 16 reps. This was nearly the full stack. I think I had probably 2 plates shy of the full stack here. And I'm not going to show all the sets that I did. It was about 4 sets on hamstrings. But at one point here, I think for this set, I started with the same weight and then dropped it down by about 20-30 pounds. I was starting to fail. I really just fried them. Dropped the weight down about 2 plates, start knocking out more reps. Just, that's one of the big things, especially in my opinion, with calves and hamstrings, is just like you are on your feet so much. You know, there's no overdoing it. Just keep going until you get a good burn. One of the things that I did get here was frontal raises. I did a whole set of lateral flies on the machine that there was a group of guys hanging out and all that, and I just didn't want to have them in the back shot or anything like that. I didn't want to be recording anybody without them being comfortable. But 3 or 4 sets of frontal raises with the rope. I like to work in about every other shoulder workout. Shoulders are usually section accessory, but I'll try and get in about 4 sets of, 4 different movements with about 4 sets a piece, just in between while I'm doing my kind of cool down on my legs. For leg press, I wasn't going super heavy today. I think the highest I got up to was 10 plates total, which for newer lifters, I know that might sound like a lot, but on a leg press machine like this, going up to 10 plates isn't a crazy amount. You'll see people throw like max out the machine and then have their buddy stand on there just for that extra weight. But today, especially with I am both intermittent fasting and on something of a cut at the moment, so it was a double whammy. My last meal before this lift was like 5 hours earlier in the day, and my eating window for the intermittent fasting is like 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. or something like that, and I didn't get into the gym until about 12:30. So going through a little bit of food withdrawals here, but it's not an excuse to not try and knock out some good reps. The big thing about intermittent fasting and being on a cut is that after a while you get used to kind of being hungry, and your hunger starts to go away when you're fasted throughout the morning and into the early afternoon. And so when you do get to eat in between your eating window of say 2 to 8, you have 2,500 calories that you can pound down in such a short amount of time that you do get that real satiating fullness that kind of carries you through till the next day. I decided to throw some abs in here. I just kind of like the throwing abs whenever I have the feeling for it. I don't know why I've always done my abs the opposite of what you usually see people do. Usually they're facing the opposite direction with the cable, but abs are one of those things where they're not super complicated. Do some weighted crunches like this or on the machine, do some leg lifts, go ahead and throw in, there's a movement I'm fond of called Lou raises that are great for your obliques, where you take a dumbbell, some barbells, take a barbell and throw it on your shoulders and do some kind of stabilizer movements where you're leaning, kind of like side leans, but you have the weight on your shoulders. You should look them up, from Olympic Chinese lifter Liu Xiaozhang. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but I think I dig some hanging leg raises and stuff that I wasn't able to record, but I did get in some crunches and a couple sets of hanging leg raises. Work out your abs like any other muscle. Throw on some weight on there, build those muscles up just like you would anything else. It didn't really translate well for this, but 2 fingers on this movement. I used to work out, I'm not gonna blow up his spot, but I used to work out at a gym actually not too far down the street from this gym that I'm at tonight, that Phil Heath would regularly go in there for his like midnight routines when he was in town. I'd probably see him in there twice a week. And one time he recommended to me just offhand to use 2 fingers on the movement, and I've done it ever since, because it really does get I really feel a deeper burn doing the movement with 2 fingers instead of the whole face pull. I haven't seen really anywhere else that kind of recommendation, but it's good enough for Phil Heath. It's good enough for me, and I don't like to hop on bandwagons just because even a famous lifter says something, but it genuinely, for me, has been such an extra burn. Moving on to leg extensions. I have a love-hate relationship with leg extensions. Your knees have to be like really in good shape to do leg extensions, and just because I spend so much time working, and I use knee pads at work, but I spend a lot of time crawling around doing work. I'm trying to make this not sound like a "that's what she said" joke, but I spend a lot of time on my knees at work, and some nights my knees are not the best for leg extensions. Some nights they're doing fantastic. I will say that I hate this machine. I wanted to have some sort of demonstration of an overhead press movement since I am doing shoulders and I already skipped recording the lateral raises. There is a great overhead press machine here. It is not this one, but I felt like I had enough energy at the end of this lift that I wanted to throw in as kind of a final set in the video, doing some OHP on this horrible machine. The reason I don't like it is I don't feel like I have the best in kind of like muscle body connection when I'm doing it on here. I normally can really feel the movement when I'm doing something like even like a Smith overhead press, but this cable, for whatever reason, I just feel like I'm not producing the same result. But for this workout total, it was kind of simple and sweet. Calf raises about 5 sets, leg extensions 5 sets, quad, I think hamstring curls for 5 sets. I think I already said it, but leg press 5 sets. Just go until failure. Same thing with shoulders. It was lateral raises for 3 sets. I did front raises for 4 or 5 sets. I did overhead press on this machine you're seeing right now and the nice machine they have elsewhere for about 3 sets individually. And then face pulls on top of some ab work out that I threw in there. This is one of those ones where I'm running around so much because I do like to superset on leg day with shoulders. I feel like they're such, they are muscles that do not require the same groups to be worked, like say shoulders and chest or triceps and chest or anything like that. They're good to just work them in at the same time. So try it. Let me know what you think. That was moderate success. Although one of the main problems that I have with leg day is that a lot of you guys are going to hate on me for this, but leg day doesn't really make good viewing in my mind. It's not super fun to record. I know that there's a lot of you guys out there that really have a real fun time just endlessly watching people do squats. But at the end of the day, today I did 5 sets of every workout that I demonstrated for the most part. So I was doing 5 sets of calf raises. I was doing 5 sets of laying leg curls. I did 5 sets of leg press, 5 sets of leg extension. And I'll record the first set, I'll record the last set usually, just to show kind of the beginning of what we're working with, and then the final rep range and like failure set. So and usually I like to ramp up each lift, where I'll start, say, on leg curls at 120 pounds, and then each set just kind of step up a little bit, back down if I need to. So if I'm laying leg curls and I am hitting that like 200 pound rep range, but I'm only hitting like 4 reps and I just can't go any further, then back it back down till I can get a couple more in, back it down a little bit more. Just make sure I'm really just finishing off those sets. But yeah, the shoulders, I did a few things that you guys missed out on. So I did lateral raises on the lateral raise machine, but it was just kind of crowded over there, and again, I didn't want to make anybody uncomfortable. And then I did quite a few sets on frontal raises. I like doing frontal raise with those ropes when I have the opportunity to. And I'm really trying to practice. I don't do face pulls very often with the rope, but I used to work out at a gym over here. I'm not gonna say the name of it, but I used to work out at a gym over here at like usually about 12:30, like just after midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. A lot of evenings and stuff like that. When he was in town, Phil Heath would come in pretty regular, and one of the nights that he was in there, he kind of came over and was showing me a better way of doing face pulls. And I don't use the rope face pulls very often. I'll usually do like rear delt flies and everything on the machine, but I don't know if I got it on video very well. But the way that he was showing me that he prefers to do them is to use the 2 middle fingers here, or your middle and pointer finger, to kind of wrap around just the nub on the end of the rope there and do your face pulls that way. And ever since he kind of walked me, it was just kind of an offhand thing, but every time I mimic that movement, I will tell you that just that kind of, I don't know what it is, but that 2-finger hold really just kind of destroys me on face pulls. That said, I do face pulls maybe once a month, and I should do them a lot more often, because I have baby legs. Like not legs, what am I thinking? I have baby traps. That is like one of the big muscle groups that I just am always lacking in. And I know that talking to a lot of the dudes out here at some of these like pro gyms, like Armbrust and Powerhouse and stuff like that, a lot of the dudes out here will, kind of have explained to me, at least, that you don't really, unless you're like super genetically geared towards having larger traps, you don't really ever get to see that kind of explosive trap growth unless you start stepping on gear and all that kind of stuff, just to be honest. And I don't know, it sounds like a lame ass excuse to say like, oh, I'm a natural lifter, and so I just don't have the same trap development, or blame it on genetics or whatever. But genuinely, I work my traps as often as I can. I just don't see satisfying growth. I feel the burn every time I leave the gym. After doing any sort of trap movement, I'm just like destroyed. Everything from face pulls to like rear delts, hunched over, rear delt flies, shoulder shrugs, dumbbell, barbell, you name it, reverse grip, forward grip, like all of it. But my traps just don't want to grow. But who knows? Or I guess maybe if my traps explode in size, maybe that's an indicator that after 15 years of on and off and on and consistent working out and everything, that I finally have decided to go to the dark side. I don't know. It's not. I'm too afraid of needles, honestly. But yeah, long tangent. But that kind of made me think, because actually, you know what? I was on Reddit the other day. gosh. I was on Reddit the other day, and there was a subreddit that I found. It was all about steroid talk. And I know that this is kind of like a open secret, I guess, in fitness nowadays, but I feel like sometimes I'll stumble on one of these like forums where people are more openly discussing steroids and just kind of see everybody's experience with them. And if there's ever a time when you're tempted to hop on gear, really go through some of these forums that are dedicated towards talking about steroids and all that. I mean, I don't know, like personally, I'm so terrified of needles that I don't think it's ever something that I could get into. And not only that, but just to be honest, like, I might be a business owner, but I don't, with 3 little girls in the house and everything else, I don't have the dough to be throwing around on stuff like that. Those are all lame-ass excuses, I'm sure a lot of people would say. But, I mean, realistically, hop on some of these subs that are dedicated towards talking about steroids and their sides and just kind of see what people are talking about on there, man. Because, like, I know that trend is, like, crazy results, But everybody that I see talking on the steroid subs, how many times am I going to say steroid subs? Everybody that I see talking about trend, it seems like everybody running from 100 milligram dosages all the way up to a gram or more all seem to have very similar side effects in that they just have like the most horrific nightmares. And I'm not going to recite some of the nightmares that I saw people talking about on there, but it was just like on a daily basis I was having this like horrible nightmares. My marriage was falling apart because Trent just made me so paranoid and yada yada. Like, it's scary. And I'm sure that a lot of people might make the argument that if you're already like mentally geared that way, that maybe pushes you like further. But I don't know. I feel like that argument, based on what I've seen and heard, might be more true of like testosterone, when people go on like testosterone therapy and all that. But I don't know. It seems like there's a pretty solid consensus that Treng just kind of, whether you realize it or not at the time, just gets your headspace in such a negative place. And then it really makes me wonder, because you have a lot of guys that are running Tren and then they go on Accutane and stuff like that to fight off the acne. And it's crazy because I was completely unaware of this, but I guess Accutane is one of those like top 10 drugs. Like, if you are running Accutane, then you need to be under constant observation because it is one of those medications that people go on that make you have, like, just say, negative thoughts about, whether or not you want to be around anymore type deal. That's scary. That's scary to think that, like, I mean, I might just be ignorant to some of this stuff, but to think that there's dudes out there that are, potentially hopped up on like a gram plus of Tren that, takes your mind potentially as a side effect to dark and dangerous places, horrible nightmares, paranoia, all that, and then throw Accutane on top of that to combat, acne and everything else. And like, I feel like some of these, judgments that people pass on bodybuilders because they're not open and honest about, the potential, like, them being on steroids in the first place, but also potential side effects and stuff like that, could just be coming from a place of trauma. Like, you'll read on some of these subs, people talking about, man, like, I remember when I was on Tren, just 2 hours of sleep a night, laying there having the most horrific thoughts, watching my ceiling fan spin every night. And just the thought of Treng takes me back to that place. And it makes you wonder, like, do some of these dudes not want to talk about being on gear because they just don't want people to undermine or make it seem like they're undermining the work that they're putting in? Or are some of these guys not wanting to talk about, you know, being on Treng and everything else because it just, you know, there has to be some sort of cognitive disassociation between, like, how many dark places it takes your mind to, I guess, and like the highs and lows of day-to-day life. And I don't know, maybe somebody, I haven't watched enough of Coach Greg, or to be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot of fitness influencers. The original fitness influencers that I was really watching, you know, last time I spent a lot of time actively watching was like Furious Pete, you know, the Hodge Twins, my, you know, VHS copy of Pumping Iron over and over again, or like, I don't know, Rich Piana's videos, or something like, who else was around? I mean, Z's, of course, but, yeah, I don't know. I'm not up to date on all of the modern fitness influencers and what they do. So maybe somebody like Coach Greg, as far as I know, or somebody like Athlete X, or I don't know who else, could shed more insight onto like what all the potential, like, realistically, like, breakdown, like, not just like, oh, you know, you see all these negative side effects, but like, man, when I was on, or maybe not even go that far if you're uncomfortable sharing your own experience, but, you know, when other people have reported that, you know, these are the negative side effects of, you know, Tren, as far as nightmares or thoughts of self-harm or whatever else, so that, you know, I feel like you can't both actively be a bodybuilder in the community telling people, like, this is dangerous stuff, you shouldn't mess with it, without also really putting a lot of light on, like, oh my gosh, I, you know, went to this place over and over and over and over and over again. But the addiction of, you know, putting on the extra pounds was enough to, you know, make me ignore these side effects for X amount of time or whatever. But it really makes me worry about a lot of these dudes out there. Like, fellas, if any of you guys are running some of these compounds and everything, like, I talk to a lot of you guys in the gym, I talk to a lot of you guys online, but if any of you guys are running some of these compounds out here, just make sure that you are being safe, make sure that you are being healthy, make sure that you are especially being open and honest with somebody that legitimately you trust and will hold you accountable, to make sure that some of this stuff that sounds like it is very much a war of the mind when it comes to mental health with some of these compounds, that you have somebody that knows what you're going through and can kind of warn you, you know, hey buddy, you seem to be getting kind of far off, or whatever, you know, like, a lot of these guys seem to mention that they didn't realize what the long-term effects on their mind was until they were already off, you know, or until they were 2 weeks without gear or something like that. So, I don't know. I could just 100% be speaking out of ignorance and not my place. But hey, I just want to make sure that the fitness community can still be a healthy community, and that, hey, I feel like if people are more open and honest about this kind of stuff, that the people that, you know, don't want to partake in that sort of thing won't, and the people that are willing to take the risks have more of an understanding of what they're diving into. Just my 2 cents. Gosh, my legs are fried. I was going to do cardio tonight, but cardio wakes me up so much. It is like a morning, midday only type thing for me, because it is 1 a.m. now. So cardio was going to be a bad idea. for trying to just go home and crash into bed right now. So thank you, everybody. Stay safe and hit those weights.